to stand up for my boundaries. And yeah. So not pleasant. I'm glad that I went through it though, because there was something in that experience. It's like, I will do this for everything and I will do this for nothing. Like I'm teaching yoga, whether I have money, whether I don't have money, whether I have a home, whether I don't have a home. Like this is my path. Yeah, that's what it felt like for me. So at that point, I fell in love with a DJ.
Excellent.
Yes.
Excellent. Hi, I'm Patricia Kathleen. I travel the world with a mic in hand and questions to ask. And this is where those conversations live. My guests and I get into everything: work, identity, creativity, purpose, the big stuff, the messy stuff, and the stuff that actually matters. From alleyway chats to studio sit-downs, I bring you with me as I talk to chefs, scientists, artists, activists. Whoever around me has a story worth hearing. Wherever you're listening from, welcome. I'm glad you're here. Now let's get into it.
My name is Persia Juliet. I'm a yoga teacher of 20 years. I'm currently teaching at Alchemy Yoga in Ubud. And I've also created my own brand and company, which is called Soma Chandra. And Soma Chandra is a yin yoga training that's deeply, deeply steeped in Chinese medicine. There's currently a 50-hour, and there's soon to be a level 2, currently working on it. And yeah, I mentor yoga teachers. I support them growing on their path. I offer other courses called like The Thread to help with storytelling and theming. So I'm very interested in post-secondary education for yoga teachers.
And briefly, you are from Vancouver, Canada?
I'm from Vancouver, Canada.
And your original training was?
Bikram in Los Angeles at the old headquarters with Bikram himself.
Oh my goodness.
Yep.
You have that on your resume to tell people about forever, to impress people by the fireside.
Initiation
to
by
the end
fire.
of time.
Yep.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
Your whole life, baptism by fire.
My whole life.
I love that.
Yeah.
Let's launch into your yoga story.
So before I got into yoga, I worked at this amazing health food chain. It's called Capers, or it was called Capers, now known as Whole Foods. So I worked there in Canada, and my background was holistic nutrition. So I would take people shopping around the store and help them find their gluten-free meals and good supplements that would help their digestion. And this Capers happened to be right in front of the Bikram yoga studio. So every day around the same time, these hot, sweaty, dripping yoga teachers would come in, and they were always giving me free classes. And so finally I went in, and I just don't know what happened. Like, I was extremely uncomfortable. I was wearing a XXX large t-shirt, sweatpants. Nobody told me that it was hot yoga. So I'm like dripping with sweat. And I have this really clear memory of like, it was the first time in my life up until that point. It's only 23 years old. So quite young. But I just remember laying down on the floor before the spine strengthening series. And when I went to catch my outer ankles, I felt my hip bones on the floor for the first time in my life. And it's like something like a penny dropped. And I went, oh my God, I have a body. And I had no awareness of how disassociated and disconnected I was with my body then until that moment. And I have many, many challenging stories of bulimia, of binging and purging, of body weight fluctuations. So honestly, that first class, like something dropped for me. And then I went, what is that? I don't understand. Yeah. So I kept going back again and again. And yeah, I don't want to exaggerate. I'm just trying to wrap in the timeline. So my first 9 months, I would go to Bikram's 3 to 5 times a week. I hope that it's not a goal to lose weight through yoga. And in my experience, I shed 7 dress sizes.
Oh, wow.
In that short period of time, I completely transformed. And I was doing nothing else but the asana. And naturally, it didn't happen immediately, but naturally my urgency to stuff myself and then purge it out, and my desire for like really heavy foods, just naturally, it was effortless. Stopped. Maybe because I was hot as well. I was craving like, oh, let's have a salad and a fresh juice. And so my whole everything just began shifting without effort.
Yeah. And this is in Canada. It gets really cold there.
Yeah.
What time of year did you start Bikram, and where are you from in Canada? But where was this in Canada?
Yeah, I'm from Vancouver, BC. So the winters aren't too harsh. I'm trying to remember, I think it would have been autumn. It would have been fall. And so the days are getting colder. And I could go to this cozy, hot room with these fiery teachers, and I just started obviously going, quite obsessively.
Is Bikram, I don't have a ton of experience with it, just dabbling, and it has a whole controversy now.
Oh, yeah.
Bikram himself.
Oh, yeah.
So I veered harshly away from it at that point. But is the community in a Bikram studio similar to those in, say, Vinyasa or Hatha studios, or one like Alchemy, where they kind of offer a mixture of, like, is it the same or is it different? Because it's just one, Bikram is one style, set poses, at least how I learned it.
Yeah.
So I wondered if that changed the aspect of community Bikram.
I'd say it didn't. I mean, what Bikram is 26 asanas and 2 breathing exercises. That's it. Once you're a yoga teacher, there is an advanced sequence that you get to practice with the yoga teachers outside of studio hours. But there were many events and gatherings of meditation nights, and there was an absolute sense of community. I mean, that became my whole world. Was it encouraged for me to learn other styles of yoga? No, the growth was very, very strong, like purist. Bikram is the way. There's no other way. But in terms of community gathering and exploring meditation and just chatting about asanas and philosophy and health, that was all there. It's a beautiful, thriving community.
Is it still there?
Yeah. Yeah.
Nice. What's the name of the studio?
My home studio?
Yes.
Called Bikram Yoga on the Drive.
And it's still called Bikram because a lot of studios attached to it went to hot yoga. Yes, it is. All right. So what the first thing you certified in was Bikram?
Yeah.
And you went to Los Angeles. You went to Bikram.
I went to Bikram himself.
How long before the scandal and controversy was it?
Oh, years.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. I trained, so I graduated November of 2025. That was one of the last ones in the headquarters of LA. After that, they moved it to Mexico and then Hawaii. In my own experience, my own limited experience, what I saw at the training is what I saw at Netflix on the Bikram documentary.
Okay.
I don't see any exaggeration.
No.
That was my experience. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the same. It's cool. I liked how they unpacked the lineage of week 1 it was this, week 2 it was this, week 3 it was this. Everyone kind of had their own moment of, but it was this trend that followed all of the yogis of week 1 being overwhelmed in week 2. But there was also kind of this, there's always I think a form of yoga, meditation, spirituality, a sense of worshiping the guru, and that danger of getting too close to they can do nothing wrong. But Bikram really was known to encourage that. He's on record saying, I am nearly godlike. We all are, technically. I'm not saying that, but I think that his hubris and, kind of inflated ego, to understate it, was encouraging that aspect. Did you see that aspect in your training? Okay. So it was kind of Bikram, his everything, and do the bot. I mean, he sat on a stage raised up high with air conditioning blowing at him. Did you see this? Excellent. Excellent. Because to learn in that environment is truly to put your own ego aside. I got to tell you, if I'm in a room and someone's got AC and I don't, even if my practice is to be hot, I would be a little what's happening? And that's egoless for you to be learning and just doing, right?
Oh, I want to be unfiltered. And I'm also aware of how upset some of my dear friends get who still teach Bikram. But without sharing all the details, I witnessed him fat shame his wife in front of all of us repetitively while calling her up on stage. He shamed the youngest woman in our training. She was attacked late at night in a laundry room because her days wouldn't end until 2 or 3 in the morning. And he pulled her up on stage and shamed her in front of everyone, saying that it was her fault that she was attacked.
No.
So there was a huge huge things that if I was the woman that I am now in that training, I would have spoken out loud.
Yeah.
But in that particular circumstance, I was 24 turning 25. And so I kept quiet and I listened. I was also told by Bikram to take out my piercings. He didn't like me injuring my temple in that way. Obviously, I couldn't take off my tattoos, but I took out all my piercings. And I do regret that. I remember after the training thinking, wow, I really surrendered my sense of identity for the sake of this man.
It's a fine line.
Yeah.
I've done really beautiful ardent studies and programs that I still subscribe to that rode a very tentative fine line between abandoning self-ego and acquiescing to schedule or requirements in order to reach the goal. You know, like doing a training that requires silence for the first half of the day, that can be seen as, dangerous or, something like that. But when they say, trust me, do this, and you do it and you receive a reward, it's very difficult to decide from the offset, from the jump, as to which thing that you give up you might regret later on when you're really trying to subscribe to the entire system to see if it works. You know what I'm saying? It takes I just feel like it takes a higher level of advanced reasoning, certainly an older mind, to look at something and say, hey, I kind of disagree with this. Because the taking out of the piercings at 24, I would have thought, this is his system. This is what I do, and then looking back at it, I would have been like, that was an identity thing. I like that kind of a thing. But I do understand the navigating of all of that. So you did Bikram. Did you go back to Canada and teach?
Yeah, I'm smiling. I just have to comment that we're both wearing green. And so in Bikram's whole training, you're not allowed to wear green because one of his friends actually did pass away in a fire, which is so sad. And he was wearing green. So it was a rule. You're not to wear green ever in a Bikram class.
It's my favorite color.
Me too. So now I'm wearing all green.
Okay, did you hold up that kind of a prophecy in your studio when you started teaching?
Yeah, my studio owner, I love him to pieces. He's still a dear friend, and he was my first mentor. And yeah, he wanted to respect the
eccentricities.
Yep. Okay. Yeah. So I was really blessed in that on my graduating day of the Bikram training, I had multiple studio owners from Vancouver in the room kind of watching. I didn't know that they were scouting for teachers. And I just had a good day. Those days where you're like, oh, yeah, I did well. And so when I got home, we didn't have cell phones back then.
Right.
It was an answer phone, little plastic answer phone.
An answering machine.
Answering machine. Sorry, the phone was by the machine.
Yeah.
And I had 2 messages on my answering machine being like, got you scheduled on tomorrow, 6 a.m., next class, 9 a.m. on Dunsmuir Street in Vancouver. And I was like, I didn't even have enough time to call back to be like, no, I can't. So that's how I started teaching. Literally the day after I flew home with it. I was straight in. And my first 2 classes were awful. Awful. I literally got booed.
No, I was going to say, it was awful for you, not for them. In your head.
No.
You did not get booed.
Oh, yeah.
There's no
front row said this fabulous woman. I can still see her face, her long blonde hair, and she just went right up in front of me. I'm on a stage. Oh, yeah. Because I had to teach on a stage. She went, boo. And then she said, learn your lefts from your rights before you teach a class, and stormed out of the room with her yoga mat. And I was just standing there on stage, 25 years old, being like, inhale, arms up.
Yeah.
But I kept going.
Mm-hmm.
And that was my initiation into the experience of public teaching.
Baptism by fire. Baptism by fire. That's rough. So how long did you teach Bikram for until you started picking up other styles? And what incited you to do that?
Well, firstly, I committed to 1 year. That was my personal commitment. I'm going to teach for 1 year at my own studio and do nothing else. I'm all in.
No other day job?
No.
Okay.
I was a full-time teacher. So I was doing 2 to 3 classes a day, 5 to 6 days a week. I was in. And while I was doing that, I was young. I like to experiment with myself. So I did a 1 year complete cleanse detox, no wheat, no animal, no dairy, no alcohol, no caffeine. I went
during the first year of teaching.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So you cut everything out that could possibly be consumed as harmful.
Yeah. or cloud
Sugar?
in my perception. Oh, maybe not sugar.
Okay.
Okay. I don't think sugar.
I see. Yeah.
But almost everything else.
Yes.
And I went into a deep sort of practice with myself where I was meditating and just saying, Spirit, like I hand myself over. If I'm meant to do something different or be somewhere else, tell me, and I will go there. So I had this really clear dream of walking along the Coromandel Peninsula in New Zealand. And in the dream, I was walking along with sand, and I looked out to the ocean, and I saw another version of me coming out of the ocean. And the two of us merged in New Zealand, and my third eye opened.
Wow.
So when I woke up from that dream, the cool thing about Bikrams is they've got an international website. So I immediately looked up yoga studios in New Zealand. I emailed all of them and said, we have to come to New Zealand. I don't know why, but I'm following this call. If you need someone, let me know. No exaggeration. The next day, I don't even get an email. I get a phone call from a studio owner who's like, I need you now. I need you full time. Don't worry about a work permit. You can sleep in the yoga studio for free, so you don't need to worry about rent. I'll give you cash in hand when you get on a flight. And so I left Canada at 25 years old. I was a 1-year yoga teacher. I had $100. I packed my backpack. I bought like an outbound flight to Australia. It was just the cheapest flight that I could find. And I went and taught Bikram in New Zealand for like a year and a half.
Did you sleep in the yoga studio?
Oh.
How was that?
It was tough.
Yeah.
It was tough.
Was it just your own little room, or were there multiple teachers sleeping?
Yeah, at one point there was another teacher, a male teacher, and that was very uncomfortable for me as a young girl, what came up and what I went through. And it was another initiation by fire
Yeah.
to stand up for my boundaries. And yeah. So not pleasant. I'm glad that I went through it, though, because there was something in that experience. It's like, I will do this for everything and I will do this for nothing. It's like I'm teaching yoga, whether I have money, whether I don't have money, whether I have a home, whether I don't have a home. Like, this is my path. Yeah, that's what it felt like for me. So at that point, I fell in love with a DJ.
Excellent.
Yes.
Excellent.
And that DJ had family in Australia, in Sydney, Australia. So he bought us flights one Easter to go to Oz. And when we went to Oz, I was Bikram obsessed. So I looked up like the closest Bikram studio.
Which city in Oz?
Sydney.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. So we were in Balmain. And I went to the Balmain Bikram studio. And it was just auspicious. I walked in. The studio owner was there signing in the class. He looked very stressed out. So, are you okay? And he's like, the teacher's a no-show. And I said,
No.
I'm a certified Bikram teacher. I came here to practice.
You went to take a class and they said the teacher's a no-show.
Yeah. So I just walked straight up the stairs. I
Then he
taught
said,
a
"Do it."
class. Yeah. He's like, I'm going to come practice and like check you out. So he checked me out. There was no bells and whistles. It was all lovely, shanty. I had a free pass while I was there. I flew back to New Zealand with my partner. I felt a little bit lost, a little bit dead. I knew that my relationship was fading. And then voila, I get this email from the same yoga studio in Australia. And they're like, would you fly here, run our studio for us, teach 10 to 12 classes a week, same thing. We'll pay you under the table.
Yes.
Don't worry about papers. Sleep in our house, take our car. We're going to England to get married. So like they need you for like 2 months. So I did it. I quit my job and I jumped on a plane. And that brought me to Australia. And so once I was with them, managing their studio, and they flew back married from England, we all had this amazing brainwave of changing the studio from not just Bikram, but offering yin and flow.
Wow.
It was a deep calling for me because I wanted to be able to offer
Occasions and variety. Like
Yeah.
Bikram's so regimented and you cannot deviate from the dialogue, that I could see injured people, but I couldn't help them because I wasn't allowed to deviate.
Right.
So that was my incentive to want to study other styles of yoga. And because I'd given my all to this studio, they gifted me a 200-hour teacher training in Vinyasa Flow.
Nice.
So yeah.
Well, did you take it through a Sydney studio?
Yeah.
Did you research your favorite person? How did you vet that?
No, they chose.
Okay.
So they chose, it was to do with different companies merging. And that person is Nicole Walsh. I would love to say her name because she's a wonderful, wonderful yoga teacher. She's the real deal. And she used to own Body Mind Life Studios, and now she has a studio called In Yoga. Yeah. So
Is she, can you describe the style as hatha, vinyasa? What kind of a 200-hour?
It was soft vinyasa.
Okay.
One of her teachers is Shiva Ray, so very kind of fluid. A little bit of hatha integrations in terms of like meditation, and also the limbs of yoga were being taught, which, by the way, were not taught in Bikram at all.
Right.
I didn't learn any limbs of yoga.
Four limbs, yeah.
Yeah.
I know.
Yeah.
Bikram's a whole world.
It's a whole world unto itself.
It is.
Yeah.
And it has like, it still has a really amazing following. It's now called, at least in the USA, it's called a hot yoga.
Hot yoga, yoga 26, moksha yoga.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's got new names.
Yeah.
So what, you certify, you bring in this new softer vinyasa style, yin
Yeah.
as well,
Yin came about 2 more years after that.
in the same Australia studio?
Yeah. Yeah.
So
it was
you
with
were there
them.
for 3 years?
10.
10? Oh, wow. That's family.
It was, yeah.
That's a moment. So you're there, you're teaching different styles as you move. I'm guessing your own particular vibration and flavor of yoga changes
Yes.
personally.
Yes.
And so why did you leave there and where did you go next?
I left there because I got divorced.
Married in Australia.
Yeah.
Found an Aussie.
Found an Aussie who kicked up into a handstand, fell over in my class, hit a wall. I went to help him, and that was the beginning of our journey.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So married, divorced, but the marriage was a part of my visa. So when we decided to separate, long story, I'm not going to bore you on this podcast with it, but basically I had 10 days to pack up 10 years of my life.
No.
Yeah. So I found myself,
Traumatizing.
it was very traumatizing.
Yeah.
Another initiation by fire,
Mm-hmm.
theme of my life. So I found myself back in Canada after, at that time, it would have been 12 years. So like 2 in New Zealand, roughly 10 years in Australia. I'm on my mom's couch. She lives in a studio apartment. I'm broke, divorced. What the hell am I doing with my life? The yoga scene in Vancouver was very saturated.
Yeah.
I was super blessed in that I was given opportunities and they did go well, but something just didn't quite click. There was a particular conservative vibe that I felt in Vancouver, and my natural way of teaching is quite raw. I'd say I hope I'm professional, but I'm quite unfiltered and honest. And I didn't feel that that was the right resonance. So I was deeply dreaming of Bali. I've got cool stories as to why I was dreaming about Bali. But essentially, I just hammered this yoga studio. I started emailing them like every 3 days, nonstop. And they were like, why should we hire you? We get like 250 emails a day from teachers around the world.
Yes.
They looked at my Instagram. They're like, yeah, it's okay. It's not that flashy. And as fate would have it, Les Leventhal, who's a very famous teacher, good friend, he messaged and said, Persia, I'm coming to Vancouver. Can you connect me with all the studio owners that you know? And I said, absolutely. And I don't like to ask a favor in return, but in this case, could you hook me up in Bali? Like, I have to teach there. I have to go. And so he said, well, where do you want to teach? It's like Radiantly Alive. And he's like, you gotcha. So he emailed the owners. Within a day, I got a response back. Can you fly here? We'll give you a 1-month trial. Let's check you out. And so really, I was only in Canada for like 8-9 months. And then I left.
Is Radiant Alive in Ubud?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think
it's
I
in
have heard of
Ubud.
it. Yeah.
It's near Yoga Barn. So they sponsored me. That started my Bali chapter, and it's been 7 years of teaching full-time in Bali.
Where have you taught here?
Pretty much just Radiantly Alive. I had a brief stint at Yoga Barn in the pandemic. It was very quiet then. And then the moment Alchemy opened, like I was one of the first in the original team here.
And Alchemy opened 2021?
I believe so.
I don't know.
Maybe 2022.
Play around. Yeah.
Somewhere in there. Yeah. So Ashton was just doing pop-up classes by himself in the Durga Dome. And then he hired, it was 4 of us. So we were the original 5.
You, Emma,
Krista,
and Ashton.
and Ashton, and ID.
Heidi was also the original tribe.
Yeah,
Love
original
that.
tribe. Yeah.
So cool.
Yeah.
So you started teaching here. Do you still teach at Radiant Alive? Radiantly Alive? No. That ended.
I'm such a loyalist. To my own detriment.
Tell me about starting up your own thing. What was the inspiration for that? What was the catalyst? And how did you design it when you went to start up your training?
Great question. The original catalyst, I'd say, was the seed was planted when I was in Canada. I didn't want to leave Australia, and I was so attached to my yoga community there that when I got to Canada, the grief was unbearable. For the first time, I questioned living. I've only ever experienced that once, and it was at that time. And then interestingly, my lungs shut down. And it might sound dramatic, but I literally couldn't stand up or breathe. I had to be rushed to emergency hospital. After multiple tests, I found out that I had a rare form of pneumonia. It was called walking pneumonia. I believe that it was very much me processing so much shock, change, and grief that my body was just shutting down. It's too much to process.
Yeah.
So at that time, I had to quarantine. My mom was away traveling. I was completely alone. And in those 14 days alone, I could barely do a thing. I couldn't eat. I had shingles at night. I was shaking, sweating. So I just started to like roll onto the floor in the living room, get myself into yin poses. And I knew a little bit about Chinese medicine, and I just intuitively researched more. So I started doing breath with sound, using the sounds of Qigong, particularly to clear my lungs. Like that was my focus. And within 2 weeks, I was 100% back to normal. Even the doctors were like, how did you do that? So I had this profound experience, and I think that was my first seed to be like, whoa, yin yoga with Chinese medicine heals. There's something here. I didn't know what. Fast forward, I'm teaching in Bali. The pandemic happens. It was such a privilege to be in Bali at that time. And for the people that weren't here, it was apocalyptic. 80% of all foreigners left. 85% of all businesses shut down. I went from getting paid a rate that I could live on with yoga to $2 a class. And I'm teaching 2 to 3 classes a week. So I'm earning $6 a week of income. That's not enough to buy food for like really more than a day or two. So I got creative really fast, and I'm like, how can I make enough money to like pay my rent? And I created at first a 4-week program. It was called A Month of Sundays. So for 4 Sundays in a row, people could sign up as a package. And I pre-themed it out with like storytelling and mythology and yoga. And that took off, I'll be honest. I went from making $2 a class to, let's say I charged like $15 a class, and I had 65 students.
Okay.
So suddenly my income went
from the jump.
From the jump, right off the bat.
Oh, brilliant.
Was my first response. So I was
so
like,
A Month of Sundays.
Yeah.
It's filled with philosophy, some storytelling. What's the basis? What is it based around? Did you have a trajectory where this week, then this week, then this week, and then the 4th week you leave them with something? Did you design it that way, or did you just design it from inspiration? How did it come together?
Mostly from inspiration, because there were many series. Like it went so well that I just kept going. But yes, I initially started with the foundations of mythology, which for me is you start anything with Ganesha. So the whole first week was all about Ganesha, giving mantras, stories, practices. Then the next week, I believe I did Shiva and Parvati. So the story of like, okay, how did Ganesha come into being? And then from there, I went to Lakshmi because it was the pandemic, and it was like, oh God, you know? And on that series, I believe I completed with Shiva and Sati and like the aspect of letting go.
Where did you do all of your basis with this historical like lineage? On your own?
Yeah.
Was there any online schooling? Did you just research it? It was just kind of ad hoc, whatever you were curious about, following it through?
Totally ad hoc.
Okay.
The passion was natural and spontaneous for me, I think, in my own personal life, in that I had a very broken relationship with my dad. And the only way that we threaded our relationship over the years is he's a storyteller, a musician, and a poet. So he would send me cassette tapes of him sharing stories from that side of the family's country of origin. So he would send me Ukrainian and Irish folk tales. So in my history, I have a connection of like stories can bridge the gap of separation between two people. And that caused me to really want to study the stories of India, or the myths, the cosmology. And honestly, I did that by myself because at that period of time in yoga, it wasn't popular. It wasn't encouraged.
Right.
And even at my favorite studios in Sydney, they were like, we love you. You're super popular, but like, can you skip out the Sanskrit
Pull
and
back
like
some
don't
of
talk
that.
about deities, just talk about like
Yeah.
asana and like give more global themes that all the corporate people feel relaxed and that it's not religious in any way.
Mm-hmm.
So it wasn't until I got to Bali that I had permission.
That's crazy because after having taken classes from you for 3 months, one of like the main themes that pulls through for me so powerfully from you as an instructor is you're leaning on philosophy and story, and then also your love of Sanskrit, you know, and I've heard you say a million times, and maybe it's because I'm in agreement, but you're like, why would we use the English word? Listen to how beautiful it is. You know, all of that, like, that's you for me. So to hear people asking you to pull back is like, oh, why? That's where she shines. I love that. So you came to Bali and you were welcomed into doing that. And then you did a month of Sundays where you really got to lean in on that piece of yourself.
Yes.
I'm guessing it refined.
Yes.
It helped you sustain yourself during a global pandemic.
Yep.
Did you continue with it? And after that, is that what spawned, like, I'm going to do the online course with this?
So it was a 3-step process. Online classes was easier for me to be like, how am I going to do this?
Mm-hmm.
How do I buy mics? How do I record? How do I send out recordings and receive money? So I did that. And then once that was running really smooth, I think I did 3 rounds of it. I then launched, at that time, it was called Weaving the Theme. So then I launched a 1-month program for yoga teachers only. It was exclusive. And it was like, now that you've seen Amos, you've seen how I teach with mythology and classes, let's look at how you could do that. How are you going to find myths and pull out symbols and weave them into asanas and
I
use
love
mantras?
that. Everyone needs it. Is this
Yeah.
still being offered?
It's
This is
something
the
new
one
now.
thing that every yoga instructor I've ever talked to, I'm certified, never taught, you know, all of that. But this is the one thing that's in common from all of my colleagues when I certified 4 years ago, as well as everyone I run into, is like, but how do I get to the point where I integrate what they are doing? These very sage, guru, like yogi instructors, how do I learn which stories I want to authentically pull in and not just mimic them, but what resonates with what I'm doing? Because every yoga instructor is sharing a very specific brand of yoga, and it's them.
Yeah.
Because yoga is so personal, they are reaching an audience, which we'll get into in just a second.
Okay.
But that notion is something every yoga instructor I've ever heard. So it's online still, and it's, you talk to them about like, what stories are good for you to bring in? Is that still available? Because that is something everyone talks about.
Great. Well, thank you for
Yes.
inspiring me because
Absolutely.
yes, I've created a new version.
Okay.
So it's now called The Thread. And I've squashed it and condensed it and made it more streamlined with tons of like, I don't like using the words do's and don'ts, but just to make it quick, like these are epic things of how you can storytell globally. And these are like the don'ts when you make it too personal.
Right.
And people can project and latch onto you, and all sorts of warpy things can happen.
Yes.
So it's new, it's called The Thread. I've ran it live twice, and now I'm working for online. I want to offer it online.
Brilliant.
I'm a perfectionist.
Do
So I'm
it.
working it out in the background.
Get it
It's
out
coming
there.
soon.
Yes. Okay, so let's get into alchemy really quickly, and then I want to tap into the fun stuff, the controversial stuff about yoga in the latter day as we
Ooh.
see it.
Okay.
So, love affair with alchemy, I'm assuming it's ongoing, but also, how do you describe, this is personal, but you have to, I would like to request you be brash and brave and just like lay it out there. Like for you, what is Alchemy Yoga Center? Like just as you see it, I'm not asking you to brand it, but like how would you describe it to somebody as opposed to any other yoga studio in the world?
Yeah. For me, Alchemy Yoga Center is absolutely authentically about walking your talk. Full stop. So this is the first time for me where I get to work with a team of teachers who genuinely practice 100%.
Yeah.
They're doing the practices at home. They're doing the pujas. They're continuing to study. And so I get to stand with my chest really proud beside people who are literally practicing what they are offering to other people in the room. And sadly, that's not the norm.
Ever.
Yeah.
In my humble opinion, I have gone to, I feel like the majority of classes from my beloved yoga instructors in San Diego. Love y'all. Like seriously, I love them, but I'm like, you made this up as you went through this class. You've never practiced. That transition wasn't possible. And you figured it out as I was trying to go through it, you know, like that kind of a thing.
Yeah.
And it's no shame. It's like, that's cool. That's yoga for a lot of people. But I just believe that someone who practices what they do, it's when it's imparted, it's just, it can be life transforming. You know, it's a transformative potential that gets laid out and put away if it's not practiced.
Yeah. It's a transmission.
Yeah.
Quite literally, it's a transmission. So I felt that even before Alchemy. I bumped into Ashton outside of the Alchemy restaurant one day. Like, we just went smack. And I remember looking at him and I had this voice that was like, your life's about to change. And I was like, that's weird. And then he reached out to me and was like, hey, can we grab a matcha and a lunch? We had lunch. He told me the vision of Alchemy, that it's based in the Trika, so it's based in Kashmir Shaivism, which I knew enough of to get turned on, but I wasn't steeped in it.
Okay.
Because I'd been teaching, you know, Patanjali's yoga and more modern universal styles of yoga. So he told me the vision of the 5 elements, that Alchemy really wanted to stand apart, that they were very specific to only have senior experienced teachers. And for me, just being in teacher training after teacher training, like facilitating and lovingly pumping out hundreds and hundreds of teachers,
Yes.
to be invited into a studio that felt elite, not in an exclusive way, but just in this like real high caliber, like this is really
Sage.
thought out sage.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, this
Love
is
that.
what I've been waiting for. So yeah, I came back to public classes through Alchemy opening, and I've been teaching here, just here exclusively, since they opened.
And you're saying they walk the walk. They
100%.
walk the talk.
Who, like Ashton and also my girls, but like who you see in the room teaching is who you see in the office, is who you see with their family, is who you see out in the street.
Yeah.
It's the same person.
Okay.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Yeah.
I get that vibe from here as well, you know, and I've gone to easily 30 yoga studios all over the world. That's not a lot for a lot of people, but I've covered a lot of continents, you know, and this one has an authenticity so that even if you disagree with it, you don't disagree with something that's inauthentic. You know, it's not a double layered disagreement. It can just be kind of there.
Yeah.
So, and there's a continuity between, there's a complete diversity with instructors, but there's something about the core platform of like the ethos behind all of them, the axiomatic core, that feels like it's still the same tenor. Like Will is so wildly different from ID. You know, let's take the two polar opposites for me, but they both have a consistency. It feels like a pedagogical consistency for me that is there, and it feels like it's here. You know, it's in the architecture. Like I can feel it. I'm not being woo-woo at all. I can really prove it if I'm given enough time to write it in a thesis, you know? And so I do believe that everybody is imparted with that, even after a couple of classes. So I love that you said that because I feel that too. I want to know, I love this term of kind of sage group of instructors, because that's who I pummel the hardest with some of my questions about the exclusivity of yoga in general. But right now, just coming at it from a USA, Europe, and Southeast Asia standpoint, yoga is filled, Vietnam, Bali, Laos, Thailand, it's all filled with pretty socioeconomically well-to-do individuals. And so there is a privilege to it in that level. But my question for you is, what do you think the vibe in yoga right now in Bali is leaning towards? Do you think that it has gone through kind of a change since the pandemic? And where do you see, even if alchemy is not part of it, Like there are a million yoga studios starting certification courses and things like that in Bali, right? You have the big ones in like Canggu, like the practice and things like that. But then there's a million little micro ones popping up that have like their own retreat center and like this and that, because it's like, it's become a booming industry. But do you think that the vibe in Ubud or Bali has changed because of that? Do you see like a curve? There was this Lululemon just, you know, right after the pandemic in San Diego, where the tribe was like the Starbucks person, you know, who was clad in Lululemon and knocking out their like weighted yoga, whatever you want to call that, just kind of looking for this hybrid. I was like, I don't even know what this is, you know, yoga. No shade, that's them, that's their thing. But like it was transforming yoga into this place where I was like, I don't think I can do yoga here anymore. And then I found a studio that was like kind of retaining that, the flow that I appreciate. But so do you think that there's a change in Ubud, in Bali, that's happened since the pandemic? Do you see a trend happening?
Yeah. Well, firstly, before I share, I was that person who drank Starbucks and wore Lululemon.
Excellent. Love that for you.
I was a Lululemon ambassador back in the day, and I would have my matchas, and so I understand it and I lived it, and it's not what I choose to do anymore. But I just want to say that was also me.
I knew you. I knew you well.
Yeah, you knew me well, just like our outfits.
Yes.
Absolutely, there's a change. I don't know if I can say exclusively to Bali, but yes, what I have noticed, firstly, post-pandemic, is the difference of touch. Yoga's changed around the world to assist people, to touch people, to make adjustments. This is a whole art form that is very much faded to the background. It might come back, I don't know. But even at Alchemy, like I love to touch. In general, it's just not encouraged here. It's not, you'll notice that we're not getting in and assisting people a lot.
Yeah.
So that's shifted due to the pandemic for obvious reasons. Germ spreading, touching one body, touching the next. And then for deeper reasons of, there was so much trauma for people and people's nervous systems that coming up in someone's space now requires time, trust, and permission.
Yeah.
Which, in Bali, it's one of the things that's like, this is a strong word to say, it's a love-hate for me teaching here, is that it's so transitional. It's like I will just get to understand a little bit of somebody's body or just get to hear a little bit of their story, and then they're on a flight. And then the next group comes in, and then there's and then they go, and then the next. Like it's just, it's got this energy to it, which on one hand is exciting because I get to meet people from all over the world. And on the other hand, it's actually tiring because it's like really raw and open and connected and then gone. It just keeps, so there's that. And now Bali's shifting radically for a handful of reasons, but Bali's turning into a place now more for the affluent and for the privileged. So now the clientele is changing. And so now what's being offered is changing to meet the needs of the clientele.
Yeah.
So I think that there's a shift on exclusivity. I'm only at Alchemy, so there's so much emphasis on us to like hold strong with philosophy and storytelling, which I love, so that's there. So I can't really speak for other studios, but what I know from my dear friends, which are all of my best friends in Bali, a lot of them just bang out the same class because 80 to 85% of their room are tourists. And out of that 85%, maybe 30 to 40% are boyfriends or husbands or friends or family members just getting dragged in by someone. So they've got no background in yoga whatsoever. And you've just kind of got these like wild rooms where you're like, if I bust out Shiva right now and bust out this more complicated asana, like it's just, what's the point?
Right.
Because there's not a readiness in the room. So I think a lot of the yoga, like the big studios that I've seen here, it's quite basic.
Yes.
It's quite foundational. And the teacher is on loop, just repeating the same class, same playlist, because hey, nobody can tell because it'll be the next group of people. And I think that there's sadly a bit of stagnancy with that. Like I think that there's a lack of maybe inspiration on the teacher's part. Yeah.
And you can feel that.
Yeah.
In a class, I think. You know, I think that the yogi can, absolutely, I can feel when someone's gone through. I would hope someone could feel it from me. When something's rote and you've done it a million times,
That's the word.
it's a stretch to make it sweet and special. School teachers in the States talk about this. Like there's actual programs after 5 years to get them kind of rejuvenated because they're teaching the same thing.
Yeah.
I think that that is like a danger. I've thought a lot about the fact that like 90% of the clientele is one-time comers, maybe 3.
Yeah.
And how it would approach. And I thought about that as I was coming for 3 months.
Yeah.
Because it is a stretch and it is interesting to see and to tell how it's going to be received. What communities globally, like if you think about, you clearly are a yogi, it's your life, you've subscribed to it. So I'm thinking you've thought about communities that would be hyper served by yoga that it simply would never touch. So for me, I think a lot about disability and the disabled and how few of those populations are being touched by yogic principles and how many could be benefited. From pranayama to like just very simple yogic poses. I truly believe, like with physiotherapy and things like that. Like I know most physical therapists in the United States get yoga training just because it is important. But have you ever played around with other communities that you've thought it'd be cool if yoga was brought to them? I think it would really affect them.
Firstly, I feel inspired hearing you talk, and absolutely. And for me, in my own unique path, I've been solely interested in yoga teachers. Like that's my specific niche. I'm really interested in the yoga teacher's journey. So that's where all of my energy goes, is post-secondary education for teachers to keep them inspired. But yeah, there's an enormous amount of room. And I'll tell you that behind the scenes, the few people that I know who are school teachers and that do work with disability, they are teaching pranayama, breathwork, meditation, but they have to do it secretly.
Yes.
To maintain receiving a paycheck and to keep their job, because still there's some weird discomfort with, I'm not sure, maybe it's an idea that yoga might be religious or that there's religious tones coming in. And oh gosh, now with what's happening in America. Yeah, so there's a bit of I think there's a bit of an underground movement, I would say, where it's getting snuck in.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I think once insurance companies in America, because we don't have socialized healthcare, that's a whole bag of worms, starts to cover it. They started covering chiropractor, some of them cover acupuncture, and those blew up once it happened. And the health benefits, all they have to be proven is that it will save them money, and I think the same can be said for a lot of the state-funded like Medicare things as well. I always think of like at-risk youth. Like a yoga class once a week, if the after-school paid for programs by the government, come on. It would be instrumental. Their stress levels, their CNS is so high, when you're afraid of being jumped on the way home from school and things like that, to be able to like lower yourself down for an hour. There's just so many different pockets of population that I'm like, really help them out. They're not having 5 Starbucks a day. They're literally in fear for their life. And that's why their CNS is so high. I just feel like those kinds of communities, I'm like, wonder how we can get it into there, sneak it in, backdoor, whatever. Don't call it yoga. Call it a moment with yourself, like all of those things. But yeah, I wonder, what do you feel is transitioning with yoga, like maybe even globally, that you disagree with? Like, is there any new trend that you're like, no? I certified with it. I think what he might hate to be called a purist, but I can battle him. And he was like, playlists are ridiculous. He was hatha, and he was just like, that is like, oh yeah, man. He was like, yoga is not about vibing out. He was like, this is like an actual like spiritual path. It aligns the chakras, it makes you whole, all of that, Patanjali's. But he said, by the time you're done with my training, you'll hate playlists. And I was like, that's a lie. I love music. And I went back and I was like, okay, yeah. I mean, there is something different there. I can understand what he's saying. And there aren't studios that are like, this is music yoga, this is non-music yoga. So music became a trend. It's not going anywhere. But like, can you see other trends creeping into yoga studios around the world? Or for teachers, teacher trends that you're like, I don't love that. The posturing, when you're, you're taught forever to put your heels as close to your bum as possible, and everyone's like, oh, we're not all shaped that way. Just put them under your knees when you're going into bridge and things like that. Like a lot of the cues have gone away because people came in and were like, anatomy doesn't work like that. So do you see trends that are creeping in that are either good or bad for yoga teachers?
There was so much in that.
Yes.
There's like 1,000
Pick
different
whatever
lines.
you want.
Okay, firstly, I just want to start. It's like a slight deviation, but it's on theme with what you're talking about.
Yes.
I would base who you study with, who you practice with, how are they doing at life? So for me, I gauge, is the yoga working based on someone's natural ability to be open and loving? Kindness, authenticity, someone that actually enjoys life. And so often when I see dogma coming in, this is the right way, this is the wrong way, there's a hardening and a tightening of the fascia, of the face, of the body, of the mind. That's not why I practice yoga. I'm practicing yoga to get free of that limitation of like, this is good and that is bad. That's right, that's wrong. So at Alchemy in the Trika, it's really moving into where's the third magical thing between these polarities. So for me, I do use music. I spend weeks on my playlists. I do use humor. As you know, I do talk about myself, which in some aspects of yoga, these are 4 big faux pas. Like to create laughter when someone's concentrating in an asana to one school of thought is a complete disruption. For me, if someone is enjoying the experience of connecting with their body through emotions, that's everything. That's the gateway in.
Yeah.
And if it's serious and like I've got to override this thing and I've got to overcome my body and I've got to be aligned, it's like the amount of pressure, firstly, and then also the distortion of control when you're out there in your life. It's got to be this way. It's got to be in this alignment for like. It's too much.
Yeah.
And I know from direct experience because I did become that person.
Right.
So that's my first thing. Trends, I mean, of course, yeah, it breaks my heart to see the obsession with body image.
Yeah.
And yoga, it breaks my heart. And yeah, I can even feel the emotion rising now. It blows my mind how common it is for women to approach me, particularly in the studio. And they'll come up to me after class and literally say, that was the first time I felt welcomed and accepted in a yoga class exactly as I am. And I've always asked them why. And I often will get the response, look at me. And I don't see anything but a beautiful woman.
Right.
Sure, there's curves. It'll be a different experience in the asana because there's flesh. We can adapt. Let's get a t-shirt, let's get a rope, let's get a strap. We can add some props to like accommodate your body, which is your home. It's your flesh, it's your spirit. So I think that's what gets me the most upset about yoga is seeing the distortion of this, that you have to be skinny and drink green juice and do yoga all day and wear the fancy clothes. And the also, look, I just gotta say it, the whole sex thing in yoga bothers me. People have called me out and said it's a limitation, but I don't know why I need to read a beautiful, deep yoga philosophy and then see like my friend's ass cheeks with a G-string on the beach. Like, what's the correlation there?
No.
Yeah. So that annoys me.
I feel like it actually detaches the body that's supposed to be included. There's been some kind of a separation, especially with the Instagram yoga movement. It seems like it's more about the body than yoga. It's like it's detached it instead of the body being a tool to incorporate yoga. I don't know. I think that it changes with every class. Yoga, for me, starting out 12 years ago, was filled with women, and that was a really welcomed. My life's work largely focuses around women, children, and non-binary individuals. And so going into a community where I could recapture, stability and things like that in a group of women was like really great. Love that men came, weird that they always want to bust in. It's good for me. It's fine. It's my life. But there's also like a different thing that changes, you know, for women when they are around men, especially I'm in my 40s. So I come up with a different generation where it's just a little bit different.
Okay.
But I think that the sex thing with yoga, and then it also incorporating different things with genders in the class. I don't know, maybe the staring. I think communities change with that differently. Like the yoga barn, there's a lot of hooking up that's happening there. Mm-hmm. And so you can kind of vibe on that, you know, and you're like, wow, I didn't want to come to a nightclub. It was supposed to be a yoga class, you know, just like what you're meant to be doing there. And for me, yoga was never about sexualization. It was kind of the opposite of that. It was like finding the body alone, you know, instead of in pairs.
Yes and no.
Mm-hmm.
Yes
Go for it.
No. I mean, I think already, again, and I have a huge judge that lives inside of me, mm-hmm. but it's just all these layers of judgment. And I'm hearing this aspect of like, oh, well, yoga's meant to be this and it's not meant to be that.
Right.
I mean, already there, we've created a separation, which is the opposite of yoga.
So what's your
Yoga's
version of
the
inclusion
union.
when it comes to the sex thing?
Meeting people firstly where they're at.
Mm.
If it's the sex thing, you referenced chakras earlier. There are many, many frameworks of chakras. So even the 7 chakra model is 100 years old, maybe slightly older. It's very westernized. There are other chakra models, but it's nobody's fault. If someone's second chakra is like really overactive, maybe they've had things in their history, they're seeking attention from the opposite sex or from whatever sexual preference orientation they have. It's not their fault. It's like a hardwired disc in their body, and that's what they need. Again, I was one of those people for a long time. And yoga helped me, but not through somebody lecturing at me the right way and the wrong way to live my life.
Yeah.
It helped me because I started to feel these things in my body, and I was like, oh my God, when did that thing start? Where I needed so deeply other people's approval. Oh, it started when my dad took off and I was a little kid. You know, it started when I was seeking male attention anywhere I could get it at any cost, you know? So I'm not always non-judgmental, but now in my 40s, I'm in my mid 40s, I can access compassion. I've taught yoga now almost 20 years. I've practiced 22 years. Granted, I actually started when I was 13, so my mom got me into it because I was naughty. And it works. Yoga works, however it's delivered. So maybe it's going to take a year, 10 years, 15 lifetimes. But if someone's just in the room and practicing and they feel welcome as they are, that's already going to change the frequency. And so just one more point to that, I actually think it's cool that yoga is modernizing in a sense of like, I love tradition, but you go to a class in India, it's going to be very male, female. Men do this, women do that. And I've been given a lot of feedback in the last few years from non-binary. Could you please use more inclusive language? Yeah. Could you please use the word they more? Could you please instead say, if you're a man, say, if you are in a male body, or if you're female bodied, here's a variation. And it's been awkward for me, but my heart's wanted to do it. So I'm learning to adapt my language to be more inclusive. And if I really believe in that word, well, then that's everyone. Then that's the hot Russian chick with a G-string.
Yeah.
You know, doing her like up dog, like, oh, is going to be her as well. And it's going to be the guy that's coming to pick up because probably he's deeply lonely. Yeah. Deeply lonely.
And that's, you know, it's interesting that you say that because yes, addressing someone where they're at, there's always going to be, you're a teacher, so it's different. As an attendee, as a student, there is this like, how much do I play into, it's not their fault, that's how they're built, to this is how I'm built. I'm not here for a sexual experience. You know, like it's like that kind of like existing in the same space and meeting yourself and also having compassion with where they're at. I think that's like the real trick. And I think it's interesting because I don't see I can practice with someone in the studio for a month and they'll be like, we yoga together. And I was like, we do? I go in, you know? And that's just me because that's what I'm here for. But I'm very into it for the meditative, like, alignment values. But I do think that in all of life, you know, being able to be different and coexisting together and celebrating that, or at least tolerating it, is something that we need to practice more, especially in my home country. So I think that, like, it's a good practice to think of that in mind as well. And I think I will think of that more.
Absolutely.
You know, when I see things that I'm like, I don't know if that's my version of yoga. If I want my version of yoga, I should do it alone in my own studio. You know? Otherwise, we got a lot of other people going on.
It's the microcosm, right?
Yes.
Of the macro. So that's the actual practice. Is when you're on the mat and you're like, ugh. That's the practice. That's where it begins. When you were talking, a girlfriend of mine who teaches yoga, she always says this line to me. She's like, stay in your lane, Persia, stay in your lane. So interpret that as you will, but I love it when you start to divert your energy and judge and assess other people. It's like, stay in your lane.
Yeah. Or you could do the Tibetan Buddhist thing and practice loving them.
Yeah, as long as it's not an override.
Right. I love that. Okay, I have 2 final questions. The first one is, I don't know if you're a planner. I'm not suspecting you're like a 5-year plan, you know, type A American person. Maybe you are. But do you have plans for your future of business, for your future with Bali? And if so, what are they?
Okay.
1-year plan, 5-year plans, 1-month plan. We can play around with the time.
Yeah. No, I'm just in a huge change right now that's not public.
Me too. Oh, well, you know, you can say it's secret.
Yeah. Cool. Okay. So for now, my plan, after 20 years of teaching and doing public classes and multiple teacher trainings at least 5 different companies and adhering to that brand's idea and concept, my short-term plan in the next 1 to 2 years is I really desire to expand my 50-hour teacher training, Soma Chandra, and create a whole second module, so level 2. And that way I can offer people 100 hours of a yin training. It is post-secondary education, so it's going way deeper into energetics, traditional Chinese medicine. So that's one of my visions. And then I have other courses that I want to run online. I'm also getting approached by studios in Europe. So I feel a Europe tour is coming. And it's just been incredible to be in Bali. I feel like I've really come into my essence, who I'm really was born here to be as a woman, and Bali's played an enormous role in that. And I think now at almost 45, I'm 44, I'm feeling that transition of like, when do I step out of just public classes and just really step into mentoring teachers, doing coaching, and doing larger trainings and larger containers. So that's where I'm at right now, is that transition. And it's a little challenging because I love being at Alchemy and I love being in Ubud, but it's time for me to stretch.
Zone of genius.
Yeah.
Stretching into what you do best.
Yeah.
That's cool. It'll only bring happiness, right? Like it's a guaranteed, even if it's a little uncomfortable along the way.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
How long have you lived in Bali?
7 years, full time.
It's
No
gonna be a
breaks.
shock when you don't get on a scooter.
I know, I love my scooter. I feel like wherever I go, I might need to buy one.
You're a half an hour from here. Like, that's a lot of scooter driving every day.
It is now. It's only been 3 months that I've lived that far away.
Okay.
Yeah.
When you said that, I was like,
Yeah.
that's a lot. I haven't gotten on the scooter yet. I don't break that barrier. I walk. You do?
I ride without a helmet.
Now
I'm
like,
that person
I might love it.
that people are judging.
Yeah?
Yeah, no helmet. I'm just like, ah.
The universe will take me.
Yeah, when I'm meant to go, I'm meant to go. For now, I'm going to listen to my favorite song.
Okay, this last one sounds trite, and it's not, I promise you.
Okay.
But it sounds infantile, because when I wrote it, when I thought of this question, I thought, well, I really want to know that, but it does sound a little, let's say cheeky. Let's just go
I
there.
like cheeky. Let's go
Lucinda's always
cheeky.
saying cheeky, and I'm like, I like that more than trite, and I think I can swap the two. Synonyms.
Okay.
So what's your favorite asana? Do you remember what your favorite asana was starting out? It's going to be some Bikram pose. And what is it now? Does it change weekly? Mine does. And it's always what feels good because I am such a pleasure junkie. I love pain, but I love the pleasure that comes after pain more. So, because pain for me is knowledge. It means growth. And I don't mean horrific pain. I mean struggle.
Okay, good.
You know, when I go through
We
a
might need a
struggle,
one-to-one here.
when I'm in a struggle, when I'm in a work push, I know me after so many decades, and I will succeed. I will complete it. And in the end, there's a sense of, that's what I like. But with yoga, usually something that's stretching, something that needs to be done. Like right now it's Trikonasana. Why? I don't know. It's stretching something out that feels really great.
Yeah.
That's a random one because I thought it was a kind of a silly pose and I'm more of a power royal woman. Let's handstand. But I'm in these very fun little poses now. So what is your favorite asana now? Do you remember what you liked in the beginning?
Of course I do.
Okay.
Firstly, triangle is amazing. Trikonasana is like one of the foundational asanas to help ground any excess energy that's cerebral in the mind. It's one of the most earth-based postures to like bring you back into your feet, into your legs, into your body. So triangle is amazing. For me, it was camel. From the Bikram series, camel, the back bend where you're on your knees.
Oh yeah.
For me, it was a sensation of like, and I was even told the language of like, you're opening all of your wheels of light at the same time. And I was like, I just love back bends. I feel like I was born backbending. I can backbend very easily. I can get out of bed. I can drop back into a wheel. I can do it right now on camera if you want me to.
Wow.
So any and all backbends, because they give me a sense of life force energy. And again, that would match my personality. I love coffee. Before yoga, I loved crystal meth. I was just like, give me the uppers. So I like that stimulation. Does it change? Yeah, I think similar to you, I use my little morning practice just to open up what's creaky. Mm-hmm. For me now, the asana is about getting my energy flowing. It's not destination based for me anymore. It's just about harmonizing the flow of my chi, if you'd rather use the word prana. So yeah.
Are you in tune enough with yourself that you can wake up and be like, my chi's here, I need to throw this asana to get it
100%.
Moving there?
Yeah, almost too
I
much
want
so.
that.
It's a lot.
How long did it take?
Years. It leads
And it's
to
a lot because you have to answer to it all the time?
Well, yeah, it makes you more sensitive. Like when people are going around talking that they're hypersensitive, it's a real thing. It's uncomfortable.
Yes.
Because you can feel all the little nuances in your body. It's like you're constantly being talked to. So it also requires some experience and adjustment to be able to anchor yourself, find your midline at all times, and then feel the nuance and tend to it when it's appropriate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But still winning because you have this higher level, like you know how to solve something that I think so many people don't. A stagnation in something. You said in class the other day this was supposed to be a light meal and they had a deep-loading meal and they handed me a bowl of tofu and I thought, what are you doing? This isn't like that.
Yeah.
I want to hit on one last thing that you said yesterday in class.
Can I hit on how American you are? I love it. You're still winning.
What?
To succeed, I must go through pain.
That's like a Charlie Sheen throwback from 12 years ago. Winning.
So
I think he said it like 92,000 times.
Yes,
We're definitely cutting that one.
Winning at yoga. Keep it in. Keep it in.
No, because you're not winning at yoga. You're winning at like sustaining energy in your body. And I don't think that can be stressed enough as to like, that's superpower. What are you talking about? Tapping into how to solve. If you can just focus on the problem and then have the tool to solve the problem, that's superhero status. We're talking Doctor Strange here. Like that's intense, you know?
It. Yeah, I'm with you.
So that's why it's winning. It's truly winning.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll just start saying that, Persia. Maybe that'll be my new tagline. So my final question is, in class yesterday, you said you have a new mantra. Maybe it's one of a million you have right now.
Yes.
You said all is welcome.
I did.
And that stayed with me because I think you were specifically speaking to a 2-day period or a transition period in the cosmological universe right now that's happening. Mm-hmm. But all of that aside, I think that is applicable to everybody to unpack in their own way, but it would only do good things.
Absolutely.
And it's such an inclusive, the simplistic terms and sayings and things, there's a reason they become bumper stickers. They hit us. And that one is so strong. How did you come to it, and how long has it been your mantra?
All is welcome since the pandemic. And I'd like to give Tara Brock credit. She said it on one of her podcasts, and it just hit me. So it was like my whole nervous system just went bring. And now I just say it. I say it when I'm stressed out. I say it when I have to pay taxes. You know, it's like all is welcome. And this moment too, when someone confronts me, all is welcome. It really helps me participate with life with more stamina and capacity. Rather than in my original yoga practice, it's like life had to be a certain way. I was really controlling my environment as much as I could. This is like all of that's gone. Life is full of wildness and highs and lows, and all is welcome.
Yeah.
And this moment too. And this moment too. Yeah.
Yeah. I love that. It put me in the same position. I love identifying personal choice, autonomy, and power. And when you say all is welcome, it identifies your role in that all. When you're welcoming it, you are there with it. You're present, you're sitting with all. You know, there's no hiding, there's no non-choice. There's a freedom when all is welcome.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yay.
I love taking classes from you. It's been a pleasure.
Yeah.
Thank you so much
Thank
for
you so
talking
much.
with me.
I'm anchored in my chair.
Thanks for listening to Borderless. I hope you enjoyed this conversation. If you like this episode, please subscribe so that you can continue to hear fascinating conversations as I continue to wander the globe. You can follow us on Instagram at borderless-podcast, or head over to our website, borderless-podcast.com, for more info and updates. This episode was produced by Patricia Kathleen Productions, and a special thank you to the team that makes it all happen: Cherie Ternate, Emma Baker, and Finn Wild. Wherever you are in the world, I hope our conversation made you feel a little more seen and connected. Until next time, take good care.